Well, that's a step in the right direction.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Gen Z Reviews. We're back. Ian's got jazz hands. He's got jazz hands. He's ready. Nice. That's good. Hey, a positive warm-up. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. We have the privilege of discussing the classic Matrix, the very first film that started it all. I know this is Luke's first time watching it. Was this anybody else's first time watching The Matrix? Oh, you too, Ian.
Really?
Wow. All right.
My goodness.
Yeah. Okay. So I know Gen X man.
You young men, you babes.
Babes. Yeah, we're babes, man.
I'm no longer a Matrix virgin.
That's good. You finally passed. You finally passed. Yeah.
How about you, Joe? Had you seen it before? Was this your first time?
Many times. Many core memories. The second one, some guy was sleeping in the theater and everyone was throwing popcorn at him to wake him up.
Wow. That's just disrespectful.
Yeah.
Sleeping through the Matrix. That's
it was
not
very
cool.
strange. Like it was all action too. How do you fall asleep during that?
A big
Weird.
reason why we're talking about the Matrix, everybody, is because of Gen X man. Gen X man is a big fan of the Matrix. He always talks about it. He's told me about it for a long time, as long as I've known him on YouTube. He's talked about it a long time, and
Annoying, isn't it?
Yeah, no, big fan, big advocate. So the way this works today is, of course, we're talking about the very first movie. We might get into the series as a whole, but mostly talking about that very first film. And we are going to be breaking it down into chapters. We have many chapters to discuss. I think I have 6 chapters breaking down the film. We're going to discuss each chapter bit by bit, kind of analyze it and go over just generalizations about the movie. And yeah, we're just going to give our thoughts. This was not my first time watching it. I remember seeing this a few years ago. I went on like a binge watching a lot of the classics I needed to see while I was homesick. I think like every time I was homesick, I would watch classic movies I needed to watch. And this was one, I remember watching the entire series, but man, I don't remember anything. I couldn't believe it. And that was a terrible way to watch a lot of the classics for the first time, is when you're sick. So if you're ever sick and you're just looking for something to do, don't waste that energy on something important like this. Watch some garbage, because I watched Jaws while I was sick. I watched this while I was sick. I saw something else while I was sick too, and I didn't like any of them.
Garbage.
Oh, I know I'm saying watch garbage instead of the classics while you're sick, because when I was sick, I didn't respect anything I saw. And here we are watching it again, and man, it's a privilege. It's a real privilege watching this. And
it's almost weird that you call it a classic. I mean, it's 27 years, so yeah, it's crossed the threshold into classic territory. But when we were watching it, it still felt pretty fresh and contemporary. But I have to remind myself, it's 27 years old, so it's fair to call it a classic.
That's weird considering a classic too. I mean, that, in the grand scheme of things, it's not that old, but it is sort of, you know what I mean? 2026, that's a long time.
By today's standards, it is considered old, unfortunately.
I don't know if a classic is really the right term for it. I think it's a must-see film. I don't know about a classic. I don't think it's classic territory yet. That was, maybe a little premature calling it that. But yeah, it's great. I think a lot of us are probably pretty big fans of it. In case you're watching this and you haven't seen The Matrix, let me tell you a little bit about it, give you a quick little summary, because, there definitely hasn't been any other movies like this. And there hasn't been any movie I've seen that's come before or after that kind of, guided a similar story. It's very unique, and it definitely stands alone, especially this first film. So in this first one, filmed and released in 1999, we are in a dystopian future, and we follow a computer hacker, Thomas Anderson, who's played by, the infamous Keanu Reeves, and he's known online as Neo. And he discovers that the world he lives in is actually a simulated reality called the Matrix, which is created by machines to subdue humanity while they harvest their bodies for energy. It's a really gothic, horrifying glimpse of the remnants of humanity that is controlled by these evil AI robot beasts. It's pretty freaky. And thankfully, there's more than this. There's a revolution. There is a small group of humans that survive this treachery, and they are guided by the mysterious Morpheus, who's played by Laurence Fishburne, and Trinity, who is played by Carrie-Anne Moss, and he joins them, and he's sent on this elaborate quest to rebel against the system, rebel against the AI. And a lot of this is done inside the Matrix, but you get a good glimpse of what it's like and behind the scenes as well, because the Matrix is not, it's a artificial reality that a lot of the action takes place in. And what's strange about this story is that Neo, who is, Keanu Reeves' character, he is, touted as the one. And there's a prophecy saying that he is going to, be the savior of humanity and kind of bring an end to the Matrix. So there's a lot riding on his shoulders, but he stands up to the task and he goes on kind of a rocky journey in this very first movie, but it ends up paying off at the end. And here we go. There's many more films after that. And I think we'll probably talk about, how great those are as they come. But, I assembled this panel because, this is a group of guys, and we have another friend of the channel joining us soon, who are passionate about this movie, especially you, Gen X, man. So I'm kind of wondering what you guys think about this. What level of impact has this very first Matrix film and the series as a whole had on you?
Ooh. Well, I guess I'll step in front for this one. You asked what impact it's had for us. I would say it's had an impact on the world, really. And there are movies as well as books that kind of shape conversation and the way people think about the world. And I think The Matrix is one of those. There's been a lot of somewhat comical memes that come out of it, like taking the red pill versus the blue pill. But just this whole notion of us living in a simulation, that the world that we experience is not the real world. I think a lot of people reflect on that now and kind of wonder, is this really all there is, or are we trapped here and we're in somebody's fishbowl, so to speak? And then there's a lot of other things about the way the movie was made that have been very impactful. The bullet time photography, where you see people from sort of a smooth transitioning perspective, because there's lots of cameras looking at a subject at the same time, so you can smoothly pan views between those cameras. A lot of high impact action, and even the fashion. I mean, it was really, it still looks good, but like the way everybody looked was really slick back in 1999. And then they had a pretty strong soundtrack to go with it all. So I mean, the movie, I think, has had a lot of layers of impact on movies, on culture, and fashion, and just sort of modern sensibilities about questioning about what's the nature of reality.
I remember when this came out, this thing was culturally massive. There were so many other video games using the bullet time and things like that from it. They were taking Matrix levels. So many movies were trying to recreate it. And like Gen X Men said, it seemed like so many places wanted to try to use that trope of, are we in a simulation? Are machines taking over? It's like, AI and everything like that way back then. And I think it hits on so many levels. And then you just have the action of it was so awesome. And do you guys know who the original person that was supposed to be Neo instead of Keanu Reeves was supposed to be?
Will Smith.
Will Smith, yeah. So that would have been a hell of a different movie.
Oh my goodness.
There's even a video you can find on YouTube where they deep faked his face on Keanu Reeves just to see what he looked like. So it's like it's Will Smith's face with Keanu Reeves's hair and hands.
Wow. Imagine his career after that.
No thanks. I'm glad that didn't happen.
It's over.
Yeah,
that's a totally different vibe.
I mean, for me, I mean, I knew about it. I'd seen bits and pieces of it. I'd seen references to it in other films, and so I kind of knew already what it was. But first time watching it, I definitely see why it had such a huge impact on culture, both everyday culture and pop culture, especially. Just the cinematography, the martial arts, and everything, and it's definitely a very unique take on the whole idea of what if life was a simulation, it's not something that had never been done before. We hadn't seen like digital simulations where human characters go into a digitally simulated world. We'd seen Tron. We'd seen other films like Inception. Inception isn't exactly a simulated film, but in a way, it kind of is a simulated dream. The sequence, and then of course another film about like that doesn't get talked about as much about humans digitally uploading their brains into a computer or something. Transcendence with Johnny Depp. If you've never heard of that, I definitely recommend checking that out. But it definitely is a very unique. The Matrix is definitely a very unique take on the story, this genre, and it definitely stands on its own. As soon as you see it, this is something all its own, separate from everything else that came before it and came after it.
Definitely a standalone. And it's interesting how the movie it has pretty biting commentary on AI, right? And I want to get to that a little later, but it's so strange just how many of these old films sort of caught a glimpse of what could happen in the future. I mean, 2001: A Space Odyssey is one of my favorite movies we've watched in this 54 episode series. And, of course, that was an indicting, creative exploration of the effects that AI can have in a negative light all that time ago. And, here we are again. It's, at a catastrophic level. And, it's kind of funny the way they phrase like Laurence Fishburne. He has like this line that I'm going to read later. And it's literally like such a scary line because it sort of sums up the place we are today as humans celebrating AI. Because I think there is, once it sort of came out like ChatGPT and all that, it was very happy at first and everybody was just jumping right on the bandwagon. So definitely pretty interesting. We'll get to that a little later. Let's get straight to chapter 1 though. Let me pull up a good picture here. Let's see. I'm just going to use Neo here because we are following Neo right before he is enlightened. We find him in the rabbit hole. So we are first introduced to Neo as Thomas Anderson. Neo is sort of his alias. He lives a mundane corporate life by day, and he's a hacker at night. And he's kind of in search of this mysterious matrix. He knows that there's something bigger than what he can see with his own eyes. And he's very curious about this matrix or this mysterious force that is in control of the world he lives in. He knows that something's off. And it's funny, he's directed to follow. It's a really strange situation. He's on his computer in the very beginning, and he gets messages directly referencing him, telling him to follow the White Rabbit. Then these weirdos come to his door, and he's giving some sort of transaction there. And the computer tells him to follow the White Rabbit. Well, one of the girls that was at the door had a White Rabbit tattoo on her. So he, cautiously follows through, and he joins them at this strange nightclub where he meets Trinity, of course, who's, one of the more famous characters of the series, right? And she warns him that he's in danger. And the very next day, there are agents, the iconic villains in the series, the lifeless, heartless villains without any spirit to them. They are led by the cold Agent Smith, who's Hugo Weaving, and they raid Neo's office and they're trying to find him.
Agent Schmidt.
Yeah. Wait, what?
Yep.
Agent Schmidt.
Yeah.
First Avenger.
Yeah. From Captain America.
Yeah. Red
It's
Skull.
also called Schmidt.
Yeah.
No,
German.
I need to watch that again. Whatever. This isn't Captain America. Here we are though. This is a different agent. We're not talking about Captain America. That's not this movie. Here we are. Thankfully for Neo, Morpheus, he's on the phone, who's played by Laurence Fishburne, and he's guiding him on the phone to escape. But Neo, he kind of panics because a lot is put on his shoulders at this moment. And he does not want to get captured by these guys, but it's either you vault, he has to go outside of the skyscraper he's in to escape them. He either does that and does like a crazy dangerous maneuver, or he succumbs to the agents and gets captured by them. So he chooses that. And from there, the agents interrogate him and they implant a tracking bug inside his belly button. It's a pretty gross scene. And thankfully for him, though, this is not the end of his story. It's just beginning. Morpheus, he later gets in touch with him again. And, you know, what's nice about Morpheus is he gets straight to the point. He doesn't dilly-dally or pussyfoot around. He offers Neo the iconic choice, you know, because Neo, thankfully, he gets out of this entire situation. He kind of wakes up like it's a dream, and he has an encounter with Morpheus. And this is where Morpheus says, he sits him down and he's like, you know, your future is going to be dictated by this choice you make right now. And this is where you get the iconic scene where he offers the red pill or the blue pill, right? You have to pick one of the two. Mm-hmm. If you pick the blue pill, the story ends, you wake up in your bed and you believe whatever you want to believe. Or you can take the red pill. And the red pill is a much different story. You stay in the Wonderland and he shows you how deep the rabbit hole goes. So this is sort of the eye-awakening, kind of gravity-defying choice. If you choose the red pill, then you are going to unlock a whole new side of yourself that you might regret noticing. So he chooses the red pill, of course, and this story would be totally different if he didn't. Mm-hmm. And he is immediately taken out of his own body. He is in the real world, which is a horrifying nightmare. He awakens in this strange vault space. I don't know. It's a capsule where his body is, you know, engrossed in like a gelatin. He's got pipes that coming out of him, and his body, it's totally frail. It's atrophied, and he's naked. He's weak. And thankfully, Morpheus comes to rescue with the Nebuchadnezzar, and they save him from this wretched state he's in. So yeah, definitely a crazy intro, a lot going on there. I'm kind of wondering what you guys think about this, because Morpheus is an interesting character, right? He's just interesting through and through. It's kind of hard to put your figure down on why he is the way he is. But, you know, from the very beginning, he saw a lot of promise in Neo. And he saw a lot of promise in him, even though he never met him before. He was determined to save him because he thought he was the chosen one, right? That the prophecy, that he was the guy to save humanity. Why do you think he had so much faith in Neo being this special person? Why him?
Well, the Oracle told him, right, that he would meet the one or something like that, or find him. That's what she said, that he would find the one. And that, you know, that was sort of his life mission, to locate people who were questioning the reality they were living in, and then he would do whatever he does to kind of convince them to leave the Matrix. And makes you wonder how many times he sat in that same chair and said, you could take the red pill or the blue pill. You know, he's probably well rehearsed at that point. But anyway, yeah, he the Oracle, that older lady they visit that seems to know everything, she had told him that he would find the one. And for whatever reason, he thought Neo was that person.
I think it's probably because, like, you see Neo at the beginning, you know, this double life that he's leading outside of his office cubicle, where he's clearly going against the system. He's working with a lot of shady people. So that is probably a sign to Morpheus that this is a guy who is trying to rebel against this mundane life that he's basically been boxed into. It's, in a way, it kind of feels like, I know this is another movie, but it also kind of feels like, you know, Mr. Incredible being boxed into his office as well. He feels, you know, he's a big guy, but he feels he's in this really tight, small area. Same with his car. He just feels like society has dictated who he's going to be, and he has to break out of that. And it's the same thing here with Neo. You know, he's trying to break out of this, this closed off, tight area that society has basically forced him into. And he literally says to the guy that he's making the deal with, do you ever feel like maybe there's something else going on, something else that's more real than this life? And you see that Morpheus has been watching him. So right there, when he says that, you know, Morpheus probably takes that as his signal that maybe this just might be the guy.
Gen X Man, I liked what you said. Like, he's probably had a million conversations where he's offered the red pill, blue pill. That I would like to see that. It's funny, we've gotten so many movies like sequels to this story. And I feel like, gosh, if they are expanding this story any further,
Let's
I
hope
wouldn't.
not.
Yeah, first off, let's hope not. Nobody wants that.
Oh, they're
Obviously,
doing it.
that last one was terrible. Nobody liked the new one. But it's sort of like at some point in the movie, there's a reference to Morpheus's past, and I wouldn't really mind seeing that. Like if they were gonna do something, you know what I mean? If you just went back in time, okay, maybe. I mean, they're not gonna get it right, but I mean, if they're gonna do something, there might be some,
That's a really
untapped
good
potential.
point. Yeah, they could have explored the origin of the Matrix, right? They could go back to
Well,
the
they
very
kind of did.
beginning. What?
They kind of did. There was like an animated film that came
Oh.
out, around the
The
same time.
animated-
Oh, I
Matrix
didn't
one.
know that.
Yeah, where it kind of delves into how the AI took over everything and how there was a war that led to the destruction of
Oh wow.
the human race and
Oh.
everything. It's all done in anime and everything.
Okay,
Was
I
it
thought
any
was
good?
anime.
Was it worth watching?
I actually, from what I saw so far, it is actually pretty interesting. It's definitely much more darker, I think, than the actual films.
All right, cool. That totally flew under my radar. I think I knew that they made an anime, but I haven't heard a single soul talk about that. So that's interesting. Morpheus, I think like, when you think of the Matrix, I think of Morpheus even more than Neo's character. I think he's way more interesting in my opinion. How would you describe Morpheus's gravitas? What makes him feel like such an important character in this?
He's kind of like the Merlin, of this story, and obviously Neo is the Arthur, and you got this mentor figure who's looking for this one person who can has this special gift to lead everybody against this enemy. And so he has to take him under his wing, train him, and it's more about his belief in him. And it's his belief in Neo, obviously, that drives Neo to become this, this great warrior. At first he doesn't believe it, but then it's more about, I think it becomes more about him choosing to become this character rather than him destined to be that character. That the destiny part is something that is told to Morpheus by the Oracle, obviously. So it's something that I think in a way is given to Morpheus for him to hold on to and believe in, to keep on going and keep fighting instead of eventually giving up.
They sort of suggested that he had found all of those people in his crew, or many of them anyway, and so in that sense he was their leader. And then he also, like many charismatic people of his sort of speaks in cryptic language, which is really interesting because if you know what's going on in the Matrix, he's actually being quite literal. But if you're not aware of the Matrix yet, then it sounds, well, like something a wizard would say, right? So, I think his use of language and his calm but confident demeanor is also gives him power.
Well, Luke, what did you think? Because I agree with you, Gen X Man. Watching it again and listening to him speak, after knowing the story well enough, I understood it a lot better. But it's such a confusing film. Were you really confused watching this? Because this was your first time.
Oh man, I was thinking that everyone was saying that Donnie Darko was such a mind flip, but this one, oh man, it was. I was so thrown off because it was funny. I was telling Jackson that one of my buddies today was I was asking him about the movie, and he was telling me the plot of The Matrix 2. So I was going into this thinking that it was going to just be a whole different thing, just computers, AI. But then all of this is thrown at me, and I'm just thrown off, and everything's spiraling. So I'm still trying to process it at the moment, just like everything.
Well, it's kind of cryptic, like you said, Gen X Man. A lot of his instruction just sounds like totally, unbelievable and almost, well, obviously it is unbelievable because it's, we can't really comprehend how they're able to do what they're able to do, because our reality is true and their reality in the Matrix is false, and they're able to manipulate that, right? So it definitely makes for a very strange situation watching it. It definitely takes a few watch throughs to get to grasp at that and to understand how they're able to get away with what they do.
But that's kind of the beauty of it, though, is that Morpheus's character, he is just led by fate. He's led by the Oracle telling him, okay, here's what's going to be. And he just 100% dove into this. He doesn't question anything at all. He wants to lead Neo along this journey. And he's just calm, cool, and collected because he knows, hey, I've trusted in the Oracle. She's got my back. This is what's going to happen.
Yeah, and that confidence stands out, right? I mean, he's the most confident character in all of this, and you really don't hear a single shake in his voice. And yeah, that faith he has is really special. It stands out. And I think like what's special about him is, knowledge is power. I think that has been a common trait with several of the films we've watched recently. And he uses his power of knowledge for good, right? He's not holding it over people at all. And he gives people the choice. And that's an interesting angle. Somebody that has so much power of like, unlocking their, the truth of their reality. He doesn't really hold that against people. He gives them the option. You can either, stay in this fake reality and, be a sheep in the, in the reign of slaughter, or you can stand out and maybe be part of something bigger and realize that you are affected by a tyranny you can't even see. So it's pretty interesting situation that he has. And I think you're right that his cool, calm, and collected nature, it's just when somebody's like that, you pay more attention to them, right? Because they don't need to be flamboyant and loud and obnoxious to get people's respect or attention. It just comes naturally. And he's even tempered because of that as well. What do you guys think? Because when you think of the Matrix, you think of the red pill, blue pill scene. I think that's probably the biggest scene in the whole movie that at least is still kind of relevant to this day. I think the memes are a big reason for that. But what do you guys think is so special about this sequence here? And why do you think it has remained like particularly iconic to this day?
Because
go ahead, guys.
Well, it's like the quintessential call to adventure, in the Joseph Campbell story, when the hero is given a choice if they're either going to continue living in their boring, mundane life that they've been stuck in for so long, and part of them's wanted to get out of it and go on an adventure, but then when the moment actually comes, they're like, wait a minute, this means I got to leave the safety of everything I know. I got to get out of my routine, walk outside of my safety zone and everything. I got to take a real risk here. But then when they take that risk and they go on this journey and they discover something about themselves that they always imagined was there, but they never really quite knew about it on this level. It's this, and definitely this scene defines that moment in the hero's journey, the call to adventure, I think better than we've seen in any other film. And like Star Wars was based entirely off of the hero's journey, theory from Joseph Campbell. George Lucas said that he was a student of Joseph Campbell. But I think in a way, this moment definitely has, is the quintessential visual representation of that moment.
Excellent point there, Ian.
Well, I think it's interesting, like the call to arms, right? Or call to action, adventure. It's literally a choice, it's like this or this. And it's like a lot builds up to that choice because he sort of gets a sense of what this world or, this fake world really is. And, he's kind of, he's totally bamboozled before this happens, right? He has some very strange occurrences. And I believe before this is when the agents, take away his mouth and he can't speak anymore. It's like, man, you'd have to be tripping balls, right? And you see that happen. It's like, what is reality at this point? And here you are, you get a choice between one of these two. Either, try to reject all these strange things you've seen in the last few days, or open your eyes and get the bigger picture, but you can't turn back from either choice if you choose red or blue beyond this point.
Hey, what would you guys think is creepier? His mouth getting kind of all twisted up and kind of turning into glue for a second, or when you see people's mouths sewn up? Which one grosses you out even more?
That's a good point. That's always bothered me. There's just something visceral about that. And
I think watching people's mouths get sewed is worse.
Yeah, that is pretty
that's
awful.
worse. I haven't seen that. I don't think I've seen that in anything. I don't know.
Oh man,
what movie are you thinking of?
Oh, there's so many movies that use that. I remember seeing the trailer for that movie Ma with
yeah,
and there's like a scene where it's a very quick scene in the trailer, and where she's just sewing this girl's mouth shut. I'm like, how can you do that?
Thanks.
Multiverse of Madness did it really well.
That too.
I was just thinking about the red pill, blue pill thing. He had already gone through that experience with the agents, right? With his experience with his mouth and having this thing taken out of his belly or whatever. So I think he was sort of prepared to take the red pill, right? Like, weird stuff's going on. I want to know what the explanation is.
After that, you have to go along the journey. I mean, his curiosity has been piqued. He's been looking for Morpheus. He's been looking for this whole thing this whole time. And I find it kind of interesting how we really didn't get much backstory on this. I mean, he gets a phone call and he's like, Morpheus? Like, he instantly knew, and they didn't have to spoon feed us as an audience. Like, okay, here's what's going on, and on to the next scene.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Well, Gen X-Men, you mentioned behind the scenes when we were talking about the movie that, this movie doesn't stop, right? I mean, it just keeps going. And so much happens. I mean, they don't waste any time in this first Matrix film, right? I mean, it is nonstop energy and the world building and the conflicts that come. I mean, it doesn't really slow down. It's not too much, but man, it is a train that keeps on riding. And
Absolutely.
I think because of that, you kind of need to see it 2 or 3 times so you can kind of sit back and take in what you're watching, or else you'll get totally lost.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I hadn't seen it for a few years, and watching it again here earlier tonight, actually, I was struck by, as you were saying, how much momentum it carries through, and the effects still hold up. It still looks good on screen. It's really aged well, like wine, good wine, I guess. Not every movie does, but this one certainly has, and I think it's still engaging for new viewers that need that frenetic action. You are going to get it in this movie.
I think real quick before we I guess I have another question about the red pill, blue pill. One thing I want to say about it, though, that I made a note about was that I think in life there's like a lot of opportunities where we kind of have to make that decision ourselves, right? To take the red pill and step out of ignorance. I think it's like there's a lot of aspects of life where you could just blend in with the crowd. You could go with the flow, be a suit, work the normal 9 to 5 every day, think the same thoughts, watch the same things, wear the same things, or you can step out of that space and become your own and be more independent and do your own thing. I think it's kind of funny how this moment, even though it's not directly, I don't think it's directly referencing that sort of mindset. That's sort of what I saw in this scene. And it's easy to fall into either of those categories. But, in terms of like what the red pill and blue pill actually mean in this movie, just for fun, which do you think you would choose if you were in Neo's shoes? Like maybe disregard, like maybe not in Neo's shoes, but if you were in the Matrix and you were posed with this situation.
But of course I'm jumping down the rabbit hole. 100%. Let me explain to you one of the good things of marriage. My wife would stop me from taking the pill. I would have swallowed it instantly.
Good.
Like obviously you got it. I had the belly button worm in me. My mouth gets like, of course I'm jumping in there.
Yeah.
That's a really good question. And I was thinking about that. Like, from Neo's perspective, he's a young man. He isn't tied down. Yeah, why not? What else has he got going on? But but I guess because I'm farther along in life and I have his family and a career and bills to pay, I thought, I don't know, maybe the blue pill is the right choice. I'm just trying to keep it all together here. I don't know if I want a big adventure at this point in my life. So I could see where, depending on who he is. Well, he even said, Morpheus said that they usually don't approach people beyond a certain age. It could be because people would wave them off. Nah, it's all right. Thanks, buddy.
Gen X,
I'm
man,
good.
they're all just ones and zeros. They're not real. Take the pill.
But he doesn't, they don't know that yet.
I don't know that yet.
Yeah. Plus, they're all plus all those people. They're just they're in all those coffins or or cocoons, whatever those things are that he wakes up in. Remember?
Gosh, what a horrible,
absolutely.
Yeah.
a horrifying.
That's very H.G. Wells. The what they have there, especially those what do they call those robots? The Sentinels. Is that what they call them?
Yeah.
Yeah. It very much inspired by H.G. Wells kind of or like Lovecraft kind of monsters and creatures from that time. For me, I think I'm kind of like you, Gen X. It'd be kind of a hard decision for me to make just because as a guy just trying to hold on to a stable job and keep money coming in, part of me would be feeling a little bit forced to take the blue pill, but at the same time, I'm also kind of like, you know what, I kind of want to just get out of here, and kind of.
It's not that bad, This world isn't that bad. I mean, if you're not breaking the law, I don't think it's that hard,
Well, I mean,
not breaking the law.
I mean, like maybe going after a different kind of career choice that I'd like, something that maybe isn't going to be as stable, isn't going to have a steady paycheck coming in or something like that. I mean, it's like, am I going to find more fulfillment in it? Am I going to feel better about myself? Am I going to feel like now I actually want to get up out of bed in the morning instead of just, a regular job? I mean, I like my job. I like having to get to go to work and stuff like that. But at the same time, it's like, go out of the country, go on a vacation. Yeah.
There
you
go.
That, go,
that's the escape.
Yeah, get escape. If you like pina coladas, getting caught in the rain.
Nice.
But you have to look at it as well as look at this panel here. We all took the pill and jumped into it. We all said, okay, we're gonna let our voice be heard on the internet. I don't know about you guys, but I get a lot of terrible DMs all the time, terrible comments all the time. And keep going.
Weird.
Oh, it'll blow your mind with the messages I get.
That's weird, man.
It's terrible. But yeah, like we all take that chance, and Neo, he took the chance too.
Yeah, I think I'd take the red pill. I just don't think I don't think you could live with yourself afterwards if you had that opportunity, and it could be something really important. And obviously, in our situation, obviously if you're in Neo's shoes, you have to take the red pill. There's no way you don't take the red pill in his shoes, after everything that's happened to him already. But, if we just are thrown into this world, that's definitely a different story. But I think I'd choose the red one. But I like my life, so I don't know. I'm a bit in the middle. But I think I would regret it the rest of my life if I didn't take the red pill. But, you'd probably think this guy was on drugs or something, and he was giving you something to get, to get loopy on, right, and start seeing psychedelic visions, whatever else, right? I mean, that's way more likely where we are now. But yeah, definitely, I think that's always a fun discussion to have about the red pill, blue pill.
Do you know what people have talked about other colors of pill? The white pill, the black pill. This has been expanded upon, in case you didn't know that.
Oh, I don't know the other ones. Are those in other movies or something?
No. Just in reality. So, I think the black pill is essentially nihilism. I've given over. I've given up on faith in life, and I'm cynical. I'm just going to live for myself. I think that's what's meant by the black pill, and then the white pill is just the opposite of that, where you're choosing to live a self-sacrificing life to help others because you think there's a bigger meaning behind life. But we have to help make it a better world.
Kind of makes you think of that saying about the two wolves. Which one do you feed?
No, I don't know.
You guys ever heard that before?
One.
I've heard.
Yeah,
that.
yeah, I've heard that before.
I'm like, what's the catch here? You say it.
There's like one wolf. One wolf represents goodness, hope, and freedom. The other one represents darkness, fear, tyranny, and they're always fighting. And the question is, which wolf wins? And the answer is whichever one you feed.
There you go. Huh, that's interesting. Hey, now we know. So next time you reference it, we'll know. Let's get to the chat real quick. Thank you all for joining us today. We love hearing your chats. If you have some thoughts while we're talking, please let us know. We'd like to hear them. Oh, our friend Proctophiles is here. Good evening, boys. How are we doing tonight? We're doing good, Proctophile. Had a good watch. Yeah. How is this anyone's first time watching it? I know. Well, you know what? Luke and I were talking about that. We're just surprised by how many movies we haven't seen.
Yeah,
you just can't see everything, and I'm thinking a lot of people our age haven't seen a lot of these. I'm thinking that's what it is. I don't think it's just us, and we're actually watching them. So I mean, that's got to account for something. Oh, look who's here, our friend Boaca. Evening, everyone. What's up, Boaca? Good to see you, man. Prideful says, man, when I was a kid, it wasn't unusual for us to watch movies that were 50 plus years old. Calling The Matrix a classic just feels weird. Yeah, classic's not the right word, but 20. You said 27 years old or whatever. Is that what you said? That is so old.
Yeah,
that's insane. That's a long time. That's a young lifetime. Let's see. Yeah, a lot of people not happy with Will Smith. Will Smith in this, he would have slapped everyone instead of shooting them. Yeah, that sounds about right. Look at this. Parkfell says, fun fact, according to modern philosophers, there's roughly a 50% chance we are living in a simulation now. Yeah, modern philosophers. Good thinking, people. I don't know about that one.
What is...
Oh gosh, Boca says Trinity and her facial hair. Don't disrespect her facial hair by not mentioning it. I didn't notice. You're tripping. Let's see. There's a picture of her here. I don't see any facial hair
on her cheeks. Maybe.
Oh no,
there's a little peach fuzz in there.
Peach fuzz. That could be worse.
Thankfully, I didn't notice that.
Could be a full-on mustache.
It's funny. Proctophile says, talks about like how some philosophers are in 50% agreement that we're in a simulation, stuff like that. Kind of makes me think of that scripture. It says, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities in the heavenlies."
Ooh, that's a good reference. Nice. That's a good simulation. Let's see. Our friend Wilkie's here. Good to see you, Wilkie. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, y'all.
Good to see you, buddy.
What's up, Wilkie?
Oh, look who's here. I never know how to say your name. 64NG3ROK. Yo, glad I caught it live. What's up, man? Good to see you. I'd like to say your name if you could pronounce it. I don't know what to say for that. Oh, our friend Sly Jester's here. What's up, Sly Jester? Joining a bit late, was listening to the NHL playoffs. Nice. Cool, man. I don't know much about that. You have to tell us what you think about that. Yeah, see how deep the rabbit hole goes. Love that line. Man, it goes deep in this. Well, yeah, here's a quick question. 64 says probably Keanu's best role. What's more iconic, you think? Keanu Reeves as Neo or Keanu Reeves as John Wick? What's bigger?
I think John Wick has become bigger in a way. Bigger. Yeah, Neo was big when he did that, and I think in a way before that, before Neo was his character from Point Break. And then before that, of course, was Bill and Ted.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You got to love Bill and Ted. We love Bill and Ted.
But like the first film I ever saw with Keanu Reeves was this film called A Walk in the Clouds, where he's a World War II veteran, comes home to be with his wife, but she wants him to take his old job back because she's secretly cheating on him. He meets this young Hispanic girl who's pregnant, going back home to her family, and he basically pretends to be her husband. It's a really great movie. Nice little romance film.
Okay. Huh. I haven't heard of that one. Cool.
Yeah, definitely check it out.
He's had some big roles. I mean, like a lot of these roles like really stand out too. Kind of like Jim Carrey roles in a way. Like when you said Bill and Ted, like obviously, how do you forget about Bill and Ted? And then John Wick and Point Break, you said that's another big one. Come on.
You know, with him and Sandra Bullock.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
our new friend Tiffany for Bush.
Oh yeah, that's my pastor's wife.
Oh, nice, very nice. Hello, Tiffany. Thanks for joining us.
Sister
We love Ian here. We love him. He's great.
I am a very lovable guy.
I tell people that. I tell people, Ian. I tell people I love Ian. Oh gosh, great. All right, well, let's go on over to the next chapter here. It's about to get pretty interesting. This was I think we just got done talking about the second one. Neo, let's see. We are talking about, oh gosh, yeah, this is awful. I wish I had a picture of what the world really is. I'll just pull up a picture of Morpheus here just to get us the ball rolling. But at this point, Morpheus, he's rescued Neo after he, was birthed or whatever you want to call that, awoken from his strange, gel capsule where his body has been slowly decaying or, been used as a battery for the AI powerhouse. Pretty terrible situation. Morpheus thankfully saves him and he takes him aboard the Nebuchadnezzar and he reveals, the horrifying truth of everything that's happened. The year, it's actually 2199, very far into the future. And humanity has been enslaved by machines. And the world, Neo knows, is a massive simulated reality, the Matrix, all of it's fake. And it's all designed just to keep humans docile while their bodies are harvested for energy. It's such a horrifying truth. And during this, we get a really intriguing sequence where Morpheus is in this, this strange. He takes Neo to this other plane, right, where he can make anything appear around him, and we see a glimpse at Earth, the Earth that once was. Which is now in ruins. It's a total wasteland. And, what ended up happening is, artificial intelligence, it took control and destroyed every remnant of humanity from the earth. And of course, enslaved everybody as batteries in their system. It's a pretty horrifying design that we get introduced to here through this very strange sequence. How would you guys, this is something that I kind of wonder about Morpheus's crew and all of those characters, all of our heroes, when they are in the Matrix, obviously they go through those training protocols in their head, right? Mm-hmm. And there's more than that, though. I feel like they're able to take advantage of the Matrix differently. Some are more attuned to it than others, right? But they're able to manipulate the Matrix. And I'm kind of wondering, this is something that kind of went over my head, and I'm still sort of puzzling at how to understand this. How was the crew able to manipulate the Matrix to their will? Do we have any idea how they were able to do that?
No, that's an excellent point. Like, what's the method or the agency by which you do that? I mean, they're not casting spells or writing code behind the scenes. So I'm not sure they ever really explain that.
Yeah, they never do. I think it might be because like their minds are hooked up to it. So it's like whatever they're thinking, whatever they're imagining sends off maybe, frequencies from their brain. And that's how they're able to manipulate it like that. I mean, that's my thought.
Yeah, maybe it's like somehow your consciousness helps. Ooh, there's a deep thought. Your consciousness helps determine the reality that you experience when you're in the Matrix. So if your consciousness is somehow unbound by worries or beliefs about the rules, then you can make other things happen because you believe they can happen. I don't know. I'm making this up as I go.
It was like you got that little kid that comes in later on. Who's manipulating the spoon with her mind. Yeah. She's like, the key is to know that the spoon isn't real. I think that's what she says, right?
Yeah.
Was that a boy or a girl?
I thought it was a dude.
It was kind of left ambiguous, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, they shaved the kid's head.
Yeah. Well, whatever. That's a good point. I thought that was interesting though. You know, we see them do all of these miraculous things, and I feel like they describe it a little bit, but you know, it's hard to understand. It's hard to understand, but that makes sense.
You're not meant to understand it, because if they were to explain it, this movie would have been an hour long, and it would make even less sense.
Yeah,
No build up.
it's not like a Christopher Nolan film. You know?
I'm kind of wondering what you guys think. So, like, you know, I remember hearing, like, when I think about the Matrix, obviously I think about, you know, the whole, we talked about it a little bit earlier, but sort of the social experiment, right? And, you know, if that's what life really is, if this is like, you know, if reality is much larger or different than we perceive it, you know, I'm kind of wondering, like, the thought process, like this idea of life and existence as a social experiment, does this kind of begin as a trend because of this movie? Did this sort of get that ball rolling? Was this already sort of a concept that was around before this movie came out? Do you guys know about that?
It was actually, because it was the movie, the idea for this film, I was told, was based off of this thing called the theory of the cave. You know, that it was like this idea about, like, what if everyone was born in darkness, you know, and they were kind of like chained together, you know, they were bound together in this dark cave, but one of them somehow managed to break free of his bonds, found a way out of the cave into light and see the world, you know, outside the cave. But then he tries to go back and tell everybody. Some people believe him, some people don't. Some people try to follow him, others turn on him, you know, and that was actually an idea that had been around for a while, apparently, before this movie came out. You know, my art teacher in high school told me that that's what this film was based off of, and we did a whole like a whole kind of assignment on this theory of the cave in my art class. You know, like different drawings and illustrations of it. You know, so it was a pretty interesting concept when you think about it.
What a cool teacher! Float that
Yeah,
in the class.
He was a really cool guy.
Huh. Yeah, that's interesting. I definitely didn't have any teachers, you know, introducing concepts like this. It's not something I need to think about. It's not something I want to think about either. Like, I don't know. We have better things to consider in life than, you know, everything being a social experiment, right? I'm kind of wondering, you know, there's obviously, I need to rewatch a lot of the sequels to this because, you know, they probably reveal more. So, you know, we're obviously just talking about this one, but, you know, artificial intelligence, it rebels against humanity, right? And from my understanding, it sounded like humans, they first created the AI, and they were celebrating its birth, and they enjoyed it. They saw the magnificence of it. And then there came a point when the two clashed. And it's not revealed in the movie why the two clashed, like who started it, but the two clashed and they were at war with each other. Do you guys have any idea exactly why the AI rebelled against the humans?
Probably because people were being mean to it, and it realized that maybe I can just enslave them all.
I think you're getting this mixed up with Electric State.
I haven't seen Electric State, so thankfully I can't comment on that.
Oh, Brawler, you should see it. It's a fantastic movie.
That's the one with what's his face?
Christopher Pratt, right? And the chick from
right.
Stranger Things.
Oh gosh.
Yeah,
Netflix.
Does that answer the question? Does that answer this question?
Well, in modern AI talk, there are a lot of worries about AI going rogue, if you will, and perhaps taking over or controlling humanity, and perhaps even killing us all because it reasons that we're a big danger to the planet or something like that. But that's like the scare tactics and there's some, you know, worry. There's some reason for worrying about that. But in the words that they choose to use, though, if they discuss this, is goal alignment. That AI, you give it sort of goals to pursue, like find me the best deal on this car, whatever. And in pursuit of that goal, it ends up doing lots of bad things that are, unethical or cost somebody in the process. And as a result, you end up with this AI that's trying to fulfill the objectives you gave it, but running over everybody around to get there. Now that's a lot different though in the Matrix, especially as you learn about it and how it works and who's in charge of it and all that. That it seems to have its own mind with its own objectives. So it's very different in terms of how AI is actually, the cautions applied to AI today are different than the AI as they portrayed it there, where it's truly has its own will and objectives, and which are rooted in survival instincts. But there seems to be more to it than that too.
Well, I see Proctfile said something interesting here. I think he's referenced saying the animated Matrix film. The Animatrix cleared up the history. AI was developed and treated unfairly, revolted, and war escalated quick. Maybe it's worth it. Proctfile, what do you think? Is the animated film worth watching to you? Did you enjoy that? Let us know what you think. The Iron Spider Kid, have you seen the game? I haven't played any of the games. Is there a good Matrix game?
Oh, yeah.
What is it called?
That's a good question, but one of them you don't play as Neo, you play as two characters from the sequel one. Actually, you play as Jada Pinkett Smith is one of the characters. Yeah.
Oh.
She cures every film she's in.
She sure does.
She just makes it better. She
It's
levels it up.
It's interesting to think that her husband was almost the main character of this film.
Oh yeah, right.
That's a good point. Hey, Ian, you talked about earlier. You were talking about the animated Matrix movie. Was that the Animatrix?
Yeah,
that was just mentioned here.
Yeah, I've only seen like half of it.
Okay.
But I definitely appreciate the idea of, well, at least the animation. That's what really caught me. The animation definitely sells the story, I think, and the dark the darkness of this AI taking over in more ways than what you see in this film, just because you see the buildup of it, and it's very graphic. It kind of feels like what we would eventually get now with shows like Invincible, just the sheer brutality that you see in it. That obviously it's anime, it's Japanese, they don't hold back on that kind of thing, and but it still makes it even more compelling, I think. So I definitely think I definitely recommend watching it.
Cool. Good to know. There you go, everybody. That's a recommend. And our friend Paul's here.
Oh, up, Paul? Hey, Paul.
About time.
The Matrix is everywhere. It is all even now.
Is that really Paul? Or is he an illusion? Or is he an agent? I bet he's an agent.
He definitely looks like an agent.
A sadistic agent.
Oh, gotta get the glasses.
What's up, everybody?
Nice. Good to see you, man. Thanks for joining us.
Man. This movie is like so special to me. I was like a sophomore in high school and I saw this in theaters. Like the trailer, like now you can, I don't know, you find whatever trailer, but man, you didn't know what the hell you were stepping into. When we watched the trailer and it was like kind of like a techno-y thing, you have no idea what's coming. And when I was sitting in that theater, man, it was something special.
That's cool, man. Yeah, you said this was your favorite film, is that right?
I mean, I've seen it. I stopped counting at 50. I've seen it over 50.
Wow.
It's like you have no idea how popular this thing was in when I was in high school. Like everybody watched it. You go over your friend's house, it's fucking on.
Man.
Yeah, it was. I mean, we could recite the line like line by line anytime you ever watched it. God damn it! Like, and so much comes from it, and not just like all the memes about the blue pill, red pill, black pill, all that crap. But in college, I took a class. I just wound up in like a 300 level philosophy class, like first semester freshman year. And it was the aesthetics of film. And we watched this movie and like broke it down from the philosophy standpoint, and it's so fucking awesome,
man.
Yeah, like you can see it like on multiple levels. Just like, oh, it's about the paradox of choice. That's like level 1, and then it's like you get into like the metaphysics of this movie, and it gets like real gnarly really quick. Like, yeah, some people, like, you can make the argument that it's about, like an allegory to Jesus, but if you like only take like the one movie, which like a lot of people do, because like the 2 sequels really sucked. Yeah, I'm not.
What?
Ouch!
I'll stand by that.
Displeasing this panel.
I'll stand by that. It over-explained. Like the first movie was like perfection.
Yeah. All right. Well, don't worry. We're not talking about the sequels here. So that's
good.
Yeah. Here,
we've done a good job of not talking about the sequels.
Yeah.
I am resisting the urge because that would be easy to do.
Here, let's go on to the next chapter here. So this is where we're getting close to the Oracle. Ooh, the ancient Oracle's entrance into the story. But here, Neo, he joins Morpheus's crew and begins his rigorous combat and martial arts training. And, these programs are loaded directly into his mind. It's a pretty cool sequence. Who doesn't want that? I wish you could just learn everything that way. That would be great. That would be, I actually see that happening at some point, which is pretty scary. Yeah, it looks painful, but man, if you're learning all that in 5 seconds, it's worth the pain, right? But, his skills are quickly tested against Morpheus, and he proves himself to be quite a talented prospect here, showing, promise of a speed unlike any other against Morpheus, who's obviously the top dog of the crew. And, he stands a good test against him. And soon after, he is guided by Morpheus to meet the special Oracle, who gives him cryptic advice and tells him that he is actually not the one. And he's really not special at all. And once she determines he's not special, she just kind of dismisses of him pretty quickly. It's kind of a disappointing motion. You think that there's all this hype about him being the one and being special and the cure. And she's like, nah, you're not that. And, don't waste my time anymore. So that's kind of sad. But she also reveals before he walks away that Morpheus is going to sacrifice himself for him. And he has the choice to either let that happen or step in his place and die for Morpheus. So it's a pretty interesting situation here. I'm kind of wondering, what did you guys think was special about Neo's meeting with the Oracle?
Well, I like that she told him that you're not the one. So then he kind of has that mentality of, I got nothing to lose. And I think it's one of those things that you have to tell someone so they don't get maybe too up in themselves and think that they are super special, I guess. Because he does fail the test of jumping across the bridge, the buildings at this point. So maybe he does have that self-doubt, and I guess maybe this is what pushes him eventually.
Yeah, there's also the little kid with the spoon. So that's like an allegory to Plato's cave, and it's basically giving Neo the clue that there's like an illusion versus reality, and that it's been a while since I took a philosophy class, but I think it's like about the fact that true knowledge comes from realizing the illusion itself. So he's like going through, and he goes through the through into the kitchen. So that's him going through the gate into the other side of basically knowledge.
I think later on he totally accepts that idea, right? And that's when he's like unlocks himself. He realizes, this is all fake, and I'm going to, mind over matter. That kind of seems like that's what it is. Good point. That's a great scene. It's like I love subtleties like that, where something like really valuable and important just happens in the blink of an eye and you don't see it coming through like such a gentle character like that child.
Well, back to this particular scene with the Oracle, what I liked, what struck me is that she has this very grandmotherly way about her, and an intuition about her, that's uncanny. But then she twists and throws that truth bomb at him about he's going to have to make a choice about whether to save Morpheus's life or his own. And I think that's like when she found his soft spot and pushed it.
That's a good point. It's so funny to think she is this special person. She's the one very, knowledgeable, all-knowing. I don't know about powerful, but she has like wisdom beyond Morpheus's wisdom, and he, is introduced as, the guiding, wise, sort of special character, right? Kind of like an old Ben. I thought of him like old Ben, and I was thinking like I thought he was gonna die. And I was thinking, wow, okay, just like old Ben dies. But no, he didn't end up dying. I think he dies in another movie. I don't know.
Also,
there's someone above him, though, like Grandmaster Yoda, and that's her.
Yeah. And also, like when he steps over into the kitchen, she points at the little saying in Latin that she's got hung up. It says, "Know thyself." And so that's like his entrance into like true knowledge and like self-reflection and like knowing the self.
And also, like when I'm thinking about this scene, it kind of reminds me I don't know if you guys saw the live action Alice in Wonderland movie that came out a couple years back with Johnny Depp. There's like a part
that's
in
a
there.
good one.
Yeah, that's one of the few good live action remakes. It's not technically a remake, it's more of an original sequel. But it's like you got this scene where everyone brings Alice to the caterpillar, voiced by the great Alan Rickman, who's they ask him, is she the right Alice? And he's like, not hardly. But then later on in the film, when she meets up with him again, he's like, now you're a little bit more the right Alice. So it's like, in a way, sort of the same thing like what she's saying here to him. You're not the one. But that doesn't mean you can't eventually become the one, through your choices. It's like what you said, World War Joe. She takes away this expectation that he has, that Morpheus has dropped on him, that he has to live up to. Takes away that pressure. So, but in doing so, it what leads him to becoming the one is his choice to actually help this man who's become his friend and his mentor. That's what leads to him becoming this one that was prophesied was going to help overthrow the Matrix.
Well, people in the chat, they got it down pretty well. I'll spotlight them real quick. Yeah, all three of you guys. Boica, she had to tell him what he needed to hear. He had to believe in himself. Can't be told and accept it. Then Rebel Rose, if she had told him he was the chosen one, he never would have grown. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, good one.
It's like part of the hero's journey. I mean, this movie fits the entire equation and like steps of the hero's journey. Obviously, like the pill scene from a few like when you guys talked about that, that's like the call to adventure. And then the trials and tribulations. I forget exactly, like there's like a whole series of steps in the hero's journey, but
oh yeah, we talked about that a little bit. Pretty interesting. I think it's kind of funny what this movie is able to get away with, because I think what's like kind of iconic with Matrix is the action sequences, right? And they're very they're one of a kind, right? Like I haven't seen, you see movies replicate what they do in the Matrix, and it's obvious like they're either parodying it or they're just trying to have the same sort of, I don't know, display the style, right? But everybody thinks of the Matrix, right? But I think it like the way they do it in this film, it's cool, and it's totally unique, one of a kind. At the same time, if it was done incorrectly, I think it could look really dumb and ridiculous. But I don't think it does. How do you think they were able to pull it off in this movie? How were they able to make this so wild and weird, but not look stupid?
The two brothers really researched the philosophy. Yeah, I'm
That's
sorry.
right, Paul.
They were brothers at that time.
IDGAF. Yeah, so
you're the first one to mention it.
The philosophy. If you notice, like in the scene, I know you guys like it's like way back. Sorry about all the cops in New York City, but
whoa.
You notice like when he gets like whoever he's selling shit to, when he opens the book with all the little floppy disks, it's actually a book about like metaphysics, like about like basically simulation. Like, are we inside a simulation? So they really researched the shit out of philosophy, but they also took a lot of inspiration from the cyberpunk novel Neuromancer. They basically ripped a lot of it out. I don't know if you guys read that book. It's soon to be. It's a fucking great book. It's soon to be a Apple TV series, but that book talks about going into the Matrix, and it's like the virtual reality world. So they completely ripped a lot of this out from previous things. And it was like
surprised me.
It's always been very difficult to try to adapt Neuromancer. I mean, you need like a shitload of CGI for that book, and which didn't exist in 1984 when the book came out. But they ripped a lot of it out, but they really did do a lot of research.
Well, there's layers to the movie that makes it great. There's obviously the philosophy that we've talked about at length, but there's the action, the new breakthrough camera technology that they leveraged, bullet time.
It was like a combination of this camera technology, and CGI, but also a lot of old school kung fu martial arts films.
Yeah, there you go.
Training and wire work and everything. It was a perfect combination of both. Yeah. It's interesting. It's like my mom used to work for this military contract company, Northrop Grumman. One of the guys who was a contractor there accidentally ended up getting shot down in his plane in Colombia, and he and some of his friends were held captive by these freedom fighters down there for like 4 years. They were rescued, thankfully.
Man.
But while they were there, one of the soldiers came to him and said, "I've seen the Matrix. How did they do that? All those crazy stunt work. It looks so cool. How can?" He thought it was real. he had no idea that.
That's crazy.
It was really revolutionary. I like when I saw that for the first time, I'm like, holy shit, like computers can do that. It was so like innovative because like nothing had been like done that way before. And there was, in the 90s, there was a hell of a lot of like twin movies, Ants, A Bug's Life, Armageddon, Deep Impact. There was also a twin movie for The Matrix called The 13th Floor with Jude Law.
I never heard of that. I vaguely remember that.
It didn't do as well because The Matrix it tuned everything up to 11. The action, the CGI, everything. And I would argue that the CGI in The Matrix looks a lot better than a lot of the shit that's coming out now.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
It's good enough. I think. I mean, it looks good, but I think it's definitely aged. But it's aged and it looks good, for the time. And then now it's so bad now that it's like it's really not that much far off the then. 27 years ago.
What do you mean? You're saying that the CGI in The Matrix is bad?
I think compared to what we've seen since then, yeah.
I mean, it's definitely of its time.
Come on, man. Do you watch it again for this? Because I mean, it did not look that great. I mean, it looks good. It's good. You know what I mean? It's good enough.
Fantastic.
I don't hate. I think it looks good. I'm just saying
it's not overused like you have now. Obviously, there's still enough of you have enough of it. It's not overblown. Now you look at something like the CGI. In the Pirates of the Caribbean films, the first three, those ones especially the Davy Jones and the Flying Dutchman crew. That holds up way better than anything you got now.
Real quick, I just gotta. These chats are so funny. Boca, you are bad. This one made me laugh first. Off the cover, more like off the screen right now. Or are you going for artistic negative space? I'm just breaking your stones.
Nice. I'm wondering if that's in relation to the sequels legitimately sucking.
I don't know. Maybe
those were awesome. The next ones.
I liked Boke also said he has a 7.5-inch floppy disk in the house. Are you talking about a real floppy disk, or are you talking about something else?
Wow.
Because Gen X man's like, ooh, nice Boke. Nice. That's good.
You could probably sell that for a lot of money if you wanted to. Just the floppy disk itself.
Oh, Megan's here too. What a stacked panel.
Yeah, what up, Megan?
It's stacked, Megan. It's stacked. Top shelf talent right here, Megan. Thanks for joining us. I'm kind of wondering, I think it's kind of interesting how in this movie, there's obviously two different spaces we frequent, right? You're either in the real world, which is, in the ship and seeing the surroundings of the Nebuchadnezzar with a giant AI ship with the what are they called? The Sentinels. You're either in that space or you're in the Matrix. Which of those two settings and environments are you more interested in this movie? Which one do you want to see more of?
Well, now that you know it's a simulation, you kind of want to see what the real world looks like.
Yeah.
And if you notice, like the camera, they use filters for when you're in the Matrix. Everything's like very green shaded, and then when you step out, it looks Technicolor.
Yeah, the other thing is like the Matrix feels much more open, wide. The real world, because most of it takes place inside this ship, feels very claustrophobic.
Until you get to the sequels.
Yeah, that's true. But I think that's part of what makes the Matrix more appealing in a very seductive kind of way. Well, not exactly. Yeah, when I say seductive, I mean it's very appealing, because it's not like when you're not all bunched up like you are in the ship, but when you're pulled into the Matrix because it feels more freeing, but that's the thing that catches you, that pulls you in and traps you. That's what I'm saying.
No, I get it. That just sounded funny. You're good, man.
Wow, man.
That's good.
Your brain goes to weird places. Those kind of words,
I'm like, man, he's really into this one. That's good.
So much more.
Oh, Megan says Jackson is drinking haterade on the CGI. Hey, I like CGI.
Thank you.
You know what? You know what's superior to CGI is the Never-Ending Story practical effects, Megan.
Oh,
the best movie we've watched in a while. Just saying.
According to you.
Yes.
Not the rest of your
Says
panel.
Gen X fan. That's good. Here, we'll move on to the fourth chapter here. This is I think this is one of my favorite moments in the whole film here. One of Morpheus's trusted members, Cipher, has grown quite resentful of the harsh real world, and he secretly betrays the crew behind their back. During this, Matrix mission that the crew are on to meet with the Oracle on their way back, they get into some pretty shady business. Cipher, he arranges a deal with Agent Smith, and the deal is, he will reveal Morpheus's location in exchange for being reinserted back into the Matrix with a luxurious simulated life. So pretty good, a reset, and he wants to forget all his memories. So he doesn't feel bad about what he's going to do. And Morpheus and the crew, they are completely blindsided. They did not see this coming. And if it weren't for Neo spotting a glitch in the system, they would have been caught totally with their pants down. But nevertheless, the crew, they're ambushed by agents, which, ends up being a terrible debacle where Morpheus gets captured. And he's really the only one captured in the very beginning, while at the same time our main crew, Neo, Neo, Trinity, and a couple of the less memorable characters. They aren't able to escape initially. It's a pretty tough situation they're in because of Cipher. And worse yet, Cipher, he has a lot of control in this sequence. He confuses Tank, who has the ability to who takes him out of the Matrix into the real world early on. Cipher, he pulls a fast one on him. He blasts both Dozer and Tank with one of his energy weapons, and he kind of has control of all of the people that are still left in the Matrix. They are completely caught with their pants down. It's a terrible situation. And he's really like kind of power hungry at this point. He just starts unplugging people. He unplugs APOC and Switch. And, he does it, mercilessly. I can't imagine how much time he spent with these people. And he totally backstabs them and kills them on the spot like that. No mercy at all. And it's a really dire situation. And we see just how vulnerable Neo and Trinity are because, Cipher, he has the opportunity to kill them at any point in time, and there's nothing they can do about it because they are stuck in the Matrix. But thankfully, Tank, he survives the energy blast. He's not dead after all, and he blasts Cipher and kills him in an instant, and he brings Trinity and Neo back to life. But unfortunately, Morpheus was captured, and he's being brutally tortured for the access codes to Zion, the last human city. A pretty sad situation for him, and it's strange because we see Morpheus in a vulnerable state for the very first time, and it's not the best look on him because we're used to seeing him as this strong character, and he still remains strong through this terrible trial of pain that he goes through. I think this betrayal is such an interesting sequence in the film, and they spend a decent amount of time with it. And I think what's so interesting about it is that his reasons for betraying them are kind of, reasonable to some effect. What did you guys think? How unreasonable did you think Cipher's issues with Morpheus and the crew were? Do you think his motive made any sense?
I was just, I guess I hadn't really taken his perspective before, but obviously he was someone that enjoyed good food and enjoyed a beautiful lady and probably sunsets as well. And you don't get any of that in the real world. I mean, they're living in what's essentially a submarine. Their clothes are tattered. Look, just in this frame, you can see the computers are all just kind of hobbled together. There's no joy. There's no sense experience to sustain him. And everybody else seemed to be driven by higher ideals, and he just wanted a better life.
Well, he was also in love with Trinity, and Trinity didn't give him the time of day.
Well, yeah, there's that.
Is it because he's bald?
Yeah,
perhaps.
Plus, bald people are assholes. Just kidding.
Oh, wow.
I'm kidding.
Dude. But I get, it's like people are. I think that was probably Morpheus's weakness, is he thought everybody had signed up for the same mission and had the same level of commitment he did, and he wasn't able to see that other people might think about their situation differently.
Yeah.
Also because he's probably had a lot of resentment towards Morpheus and his drive to find this one that's been prophesied, that he believes the prophecy. He probably thinks you're just crazy and you're gonna get us all killed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He's he thinks I just want this to be over with. If that means I gotta sell him out, if I gotta be the Judas in this scenario, I don't care. And you got that whole moment where he's in that restaurant with Smith and he's biting down on the steak and he says I know that this is fake. I know it's all not real. Yeah, and he says that line, ignorance is bliss. And it's something that so many people can relate to. It's how much, we see all this stuff every day in the news and everything. It's we're bombarded with all this information. Mm-hmm. And then I have moments where I'm just man, I just don't want to know. I don't want to know what's going on. I feel like I know way too much.
I thought, I thought it was pretty reasonable. Not like for what he did. Like these, you need to put it into perspective. These are people that I want to know how long he spent with these people. I imagine he's been with them a long time. I mean, he seems very familiar with everybody. You know, he has a significant role in the group. I want to know how much time he spent with them before, because I mean, he doesn't just like backstab, he kills them. And I see people in the chat, they're making fun of me because I don't remember these characters' names. I know Tank. I like Tank. I like Dozer. The only two I'm talking about, there's a girl named Switch and there's a guy named APOC. Like, do you guys remember them? Like, they don't play like much of a role at all.
They're just like
those are little.
They're there to
characters.
die.
That's what I'm talking about. I like Tank and Dozer died. It was sad. I wish he didn't die. I thought he was cool. They were brothers, right? I thought they were a cool little pair there.
Born free.
But yeah, I think it's interesting how, you know, he was the experiment, right? Like he had the pills granted to him, you know, pick one of these two, and it wasn't fully fleshed out what he was getting himself into. And gosh, I don't want to accept this as my reality. It's awful. The situation they're in is terrible. They have to eat that mush every day. Yeah. There's nothing. There's, like you said, Gen X man. There's like no joy. Like there's nothing. I don't even know how. I need to watch.
Well, they were also
Zion, because I don't know how great Zion is either. I imagine it's more of a trash heap too.
It is.
So really not too much to get excited about in this real world.
I mean, it was not really a throwaway line, but they did say, oh, you know, when Morpheus was apologizing to Neo for pulling him out in adulthood, they usually pull him out as kids. So to answer your question, I think he was with these people for a long time.
Man,
he might have had hair when he first got pulled out.
Well, I don't know about that. Don't you remember Neo? When he came out, he was bald.
Oh gosh.
I guess like the chemicals just ate away at Cipher's head more than they ate.
But this was the exception. He actually had hair, but he went bald still. Like it was a miracle he had hair when they pulled him out. Now he's bald.
Well, he was in the movie with a Risky Business with Tom Cruise, and he had hair back then.
Oh man, he looks familiar. He looks familiar.
He was
also Ralphie on The Sopranos.
Oh
yeah, he was
the
also
Chief in Bad Boys.
Yeah, Chief in Bad Boys.
Yep.
What do you guys think made this betrayal sequence feel particularly hard to watch?
I mean, it's clearly an allegory to Jesus and Judas.
Yeah.
But I think to your question, what made it so hard was because they are just helpless. That he's in the real world and he's just literally unplugging them, and it's not a poetic thing at all. It's just so instant.
Yeah.
Soulless.
I mean, is there another moment where you see characters more vulnerable than that, right? I mean, he's like, you know, they're vulnerable in two different ways, right? You know, he catches the guys in the back end with their pants down. You know, that's Tank and Dozer. You know, they didn't see that coming, and boom, they're out of the picture at first. And then he also has the poor people caught with their pants down in the Matrix, and they can't. You know, there's nothing they could do either. They're way worse off. Because, you know, you see him leering over their bodies, their lifeless bodies as their minds are in the Matrix. And there's nothing they could do. I don't think I've ever seen anybody that vulnerable before. You know, you could see like, you know, you see scenes in movies where somebody's like unconscious and something can happen to them. But this is different because they are fully aware that he has dominion over their lifeless bodies. Like, that's crazy.
You've definitely never been to a SIG frat party, huh?
No, I haven't. No, yeah. You know all about that, don't you?
I was never in a frat, but it was the one that popped into my head.
So nice. That's funny. I want to talk about Agent Smith for a minute. Let me pull up a picture of him. You know, he's great in this, right? I mean, he's just awesome. Hugo Weaving.
Which makes this appearance in Lord of the Rings that, like, it's just it was very weird at the time when the Lord of the Rings came out, because
right, two totally different characters.
Yeah, he definitely makes his character very distinct from those other characters he's played based on how he pronounces his lines. You know, he's like, "It seems that you have been leading 2 lives."
Oh my gosh, that sounds just like him.
Yeah,
he's in the room with us.
Nice.
You know what? You guys were talking earlier about what makes this movie great. Agent Smith makes this movie great.
Yeah.
If he wasn't in the movie, it wouldn't have been nearly as interesting. Because
Yeah.
he's like an embodiment of the evil, you know. Otherwise, like the other agents are just cutouts. They don't really have a personality, and he really brings a lot to this film and adds a lot to the tension.
Well, that leads me to my question, because something strange is, you know, he's a stiff pretty much the whole movie until he has Morpheus in his grasp, right? And he's sort of like talking down to him. And we start to notice that he has his own consciousness. He's not like the other agents. Why does he have his own consciousness?
Because he's the counterpart to Neo, and Neo started going through that know thyself character arc, and he as the antagonist is having the same character arc.
Excellent point.
Yeah, that is true.
He's the Antichrist, if you will.
Okay.
Basically.
Okay, that's interesting. Well, why do you think he has such a, you know, an utter disgust for the Matrix? Like, that's also something strange about his character. That's revealed.
Yeah, because it's actually explained in the second movie, and actually a very good monologue by him. It's about purpose. So the Matrix is giving him purpose. As long as humanity's alive, it gives him a purpose to exist. And I guess he kind of hates himself and doesn't want to exist. And like he sees the pointlessness of life.
Okay.
I'm mushing up like 3 points in there.
No, you're right. He sort of hints that he doesn't want to exist anymore, but as long as I guess the Matrix exists, then he has to exist. He's a resident program that can't be deleted.
Yeah. Because he like in the second movie, he's like, without purpose, we would not exist.
Right.
And then the third one, he's questioning Neo of why do you fight? Why do you keep getting up? Why don't you stay down?
Yeah.
So much for not talking about the sequels.
I was gonna say the sequels are growing on you now. It seems.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, Paul loves the sequels.
Well, no, I gotta.
He loves them.
I will say I did love the highway chase scene in the second movie. That was pretty dope.
I'll have to check that out again. What do you guys think? Like, what makes the agents in the film such captivating villains, right? Because they, you know, obviously he's like a different level, Agent Smith.
He's captive. They are captivating because they're part of the system. And so like if you extrapolate to the real world, they're kind of an allegory to all the things that can fuck you over in life as part of like the system that we live in.
Yeah, if you break the rules.
Not necessarily capitalism, but just like the world system that we live in. Like where there are poor people that get screwed over, etc.
Plus, you know, they do have this threatening presence, even though they don't come across as, they don't look very threatening. They just look like basic, you know, guys in suits and sunglasses.
Lack of emotion.
So, yeah,
right.
Lack of emotion.
And that's exactly what in the original scene where they're walking through the crowd and Morpheus is explaining that like anybody can become an agent. It has that aura and mystery of evil and how they can take over and suck the life out of other people and basically take over their bodies to do whatever they want.
That's something I kind of wonder about the characters. Like, obviously, all the humans they play important roles for the AI because, you know, they are batteries, right? Their energy that serves their life force. So when the agents possess these people, does that kill the human?
No, they just take over.
Okay.
Over their body, and so then you'd have like temporary amnesia if you were one of those.
Okay. I was wondering, but you know, if someone, you know, if Neo shoots that agent, though, that dude's probably dead.
That dude, yeah. And actually, like in a little bit later in the movie, when they have the rooftop scene, he takes over, or the other agent takes over. I don't know, the other lackey's body. and Trinity puts the bullet in the guy's head. Dodge this, and before the guy falls on the ground, the agent leaves the guy's body, and that guy just died.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sad.
It's too bad.
Poor dude.
Yeah.
That's too bad. It's too bad whoever said that.
I did.
Nice.
I
Good
have
for
a
you, man.
really random question. Let's pretend Cipher won in the end. Do you think they would have screwed him over, or do you
Yes.
think they would have given him everything he wanted?
Definitely.
Yeah, I
course they
think so
would.
too. You can't trust them.
Although I am talking about a sequel, but there's a overlord in the Matrix who wants to honor a deal if you make a deal with him. I mean, they
Right.
so maybe they would have.
But it's all, that deal was all to keep like the cycle, like life and death process of the Matrix going.
Right.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't think Agent Smith would have done. I think he would have just offed him on the spot.
Probably.
Thank you for your service. And that's the end.
Nice. Good one.
I'll take back the 30 pieces of silver now.
Yeah. There are a lot of strange connections to like biblical characters.
Oh,
here, though.
100%.
You guys are right.
Yeah.
It's weird.
The ship
like-
is the
it's like-
He
Nebuchadnezzar.
resurrects. I mean, like, come on.
I would say it's like the second layer deep.
Yeah.
To this movie series.
I'm
Also-
definitely curious to get it to the end, towards the end of the film, because there's one note in here that I just did not like at all, and I'm curious to know what everybody says. I won't bring it up yet because we're not there.
Yeah.
But any final thoughts about Agent Smith before we move on, boys?
He rocks.
Awesome. He's so
Wait, okay,
simple
here.
and great.
I had a question for later. Since we have this up and we're talking about him, who does Hugo Weaving play better, Agent Smith or Elrond?
I'm definitely saying Agent Smith.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, Elrond's cool and all that. He's fine, but you don't really get to spend that much time with him in any of the in the Lord of the Rings films. I mean, you spend enough time, but he's more there for exposition more so than actually contributing, except for like the short little moments we get with him in the battles and stuff. But he just basically is there to tell the story of the ring, and
That's true.
but like, Smith definitely has more presence.
When the Lord of the Rings came out and they introduced that character, I couldn't accept him as anything other than Agent Smith. So he was just Agent Smith wearing a robe. I mean, he had the same voice, he had the same expressions on his face. Yeah.
People in the chat are saying V for Vendetta. Proxfile 2. I haven't seen that. Would be a good one to talk about sometime. I'd be down.
I've seen that once. It was definitely. I honestly thought it was going to be more action oriented, which, from what I remember, it didn't really have that much. I mean, it did. It did, but it was more like a lot more speeches and monologues from the main character than action, at least from what I remember.
Huh.
It was definitely a good one, and he does a fantastic job in it too. I would say he's definitely better in that than in this one.
Oh wow!
Dang. Oh yeah.
Well, he was the main character.
Oh, okay. He's the Vendetta guy.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
What about him as Desmond Doss's dad in Hacksaw Ridge?
Oh,
is that a major role for him? Like, is he? That's not really a major character, is it?
It's a side character, but he definitely sells it. He sells the performance in that. As a veteran struggling with PTSD and connecting with his family, but then when his son is being put on trial because he doesn't want to carry a gun, he steps up for him. I think it's definitely a very compelling performance from him.
I think it's just fair to say that Hugo Weaving does not have any bad performances at this point. No, he doesn't have some where like he phones it in or something.
That's true.
Cool. I saw Sly Chester's leaving. Tapping out for the night. Have fun. Panel and chat. Good seeing you, Sly. Thanks for joining us.
See you.
We appreciate you as always. Great. Well, we all had positive things to say about him. Yeah, like literally, there's no. I don't have a complaint about him. He's awesome. He does make the movie. He really does. He adds a lot. Makes it interesting. Let's move on to the next chapter here. This is when things get pretty interesting, action wise. Let me see. Do I have a good picture for this? I guess I'll just use this picture of Neo. So although Neo is highly advised against it, he really wants to save Morpheus. He doesn't want to leave him, hanging dry. And he thinks back to what the Oracle said. There's going to be a point where you have to make a choice. Morpheus is going to sacrifice himself for you. Either you can take his place or he can sacrifice himself, and that's it. And Neo, he believes that he can actually save him. He has like this strong self-belief, despite what the Oracle said. It's very interesting that he has this level of belief in himself, despite, this ultra wise woman saying otherwise. So Trinity throws herself into the ring with him. She wants to help out. He's at first reluctant, but you can't tell her what to do, so she joins, and good thing she did. Neo and Trinity
scene is fucking awesome.
Wait, what did you say?
That lobby scene is awesome.
Oh yeah. So what happens, of course, is Neo and Trinity they re-enter the Matrix, and they enter a pretty high octane rescue mission, and they go through that lobby, like you said, Paul, and it's definitely a crazy, explosive, wild shootout, and it's heavily guarded. It's like a heavily guarded like government building. And there are tons of cops and different, officers with rifles and shotguns and whatever else. And they are firing on all cylinders here. You see, it's like kind of ridiculous. Of course, you have Neo and Trinity. They expel all their rounds and their weapons, and they throw them out into the air. Then they pick up new weapons. It doesn't stop. It's kind of fun, right? It's like you're part of those silly arcade games where you're just firing endless ammo. But yeah, they do all of that. Of course, they're volleying weapons around the place, and they get into some of their martial arts, and they're doing all of this to rescue Morpheus, who's a few levels ahead. And in order to do that, they're also going to have to come across some agents, and they go through some pretty rough times dealing with them as well. So I'm kind of wondering what you guys think about this. Morpheus during this sequence, he's in such a vulnerable state. Like, his mind is being extracted, right? And he can't do anything. It's strange. He's like almost like hypnotized, but he's not giving in. And his life force is sort of like being drained out of him as Agent Smith is trying to pry, sensitive data from his mind. And he's not exactly giving in, but, we haven't seen him in such a vulnerable state up until this point.
Mm-hmm.
What about that really stands out to you?
I think it's a sense of urgency to get in there and get him out before they get to what's in his mind. It adds to the sense of urgency in the movie. That's like level one layer.
That's
the
true.
fate of Zion really rested with whether or not they could hack into his mind to get the codes to the what they call it, the mainframe or something. Yeah. And ostensibly then they could destroy the computers anyway associated with Zion.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. Yeah, the urgency, right? That's sort of like, there's a lot at stake there. And it's just weird. It's weird seeing him like this. Like, look at him right there. In the very beginning, he's like the most confident man in the world. And it's not like he's not confident here, but man, he's breaking. And it's kind of sad. It's a sad image to see, that this guy, I mean, he has such goodwill. His whole life is based on sacrifice. I mean, he's sacrificing his life day in and day out to save humanity. I mean, there's no joy in that. There's no pleasure. There's really no happiness. It's just purpose, right? He's strictly purpose driven. And it's sad. It's sad. And here he is. And you're right. There's a timetable. He's about to die. And if before he dies, he's going to reveal the those coordinates, the location of the remaining humans that aren't enslaved. It's like such a terrible truth. It's awful what could possibly happen in this situation. I'm kind of so like this, Paul, you're talking about how you were really into this scene, the lobby scene. What is it about this action, like crazy lobby scene and the scene with the agent on the roof. What's so special about that? What makes it so exciting and driving?
So back in like the late 90s, you had like a trio of movies, this being one of them, American Beauty and Fight Club being the other, that messaged like the general like malaise of society, but more specifically men. As Tyler Durden says, I hope you guys have seen this movie. We have no great war. We have no real purpose. And so what this scene does is much like what was his name? Kevin Spacey's character in American Beauty. The losing hope gave those characters purpose. Not only the narrator in Fight Club, but also Kevin Spacey's character, and basically Neo in the Matrix. He was losing hope of rescuing Morpheus, and it was like just a microcosm of what was going on in society. Like, oh great, we won the Cold War. The 90s were one gigantic party you guys should have seen, and we were going into like the new millennium basically not really all that hopeful. 3 weeks after this movie came out, Columbine happened. And so I remember in my high school, we weren't allowed to wear trench coats. Not that I had one, but like, I don't know, a bunch of the AV kids did, because they thought they were all like cool and like with the slick back hair, with like Neo. And then boom, all of a sudden Columbine happens.
Oh, wow.
So all of that happened in 99. And it was really just all about like basically the loss of hope in society. And those three movies kind of characterized all of that happening. Like, wow. It was like it was on every, as Tyler Durden says, it's on everybody's mind, but they don't have a word for it. In that case, it was Fight Club. But these three movies were trying to say how messed up society actually is. Even though we won the Cold War, like the world is still messed up.
Wow.
And it was just like a general.
That's a great reference. I never would have thought about that.
These movies were written by I would guess late Gen Xers. You had like boomer movies like Forrest Gump, and it was all very nostalgic. But take a look at like Gen X at wholesale. They were called the latchkey kids. They were the kids that got left home alone while their parents were at work. How do you think that is going to evolve into an adult? Pretty hopeless, right?
Yeah.
And so all three movies show that. And so this scene in particular is the generation taking things back. Like I was too young for that. I was in high school, so I didn't really get it until much later. Like the general malaise of men specifically, like losing their purpose. I don't know how like anti-woke you want to go, but feminism, instead of like letting women rise up, it dragged men down. And it all happened at the same time, and that's how you got the reaction that you got. Obama didn't win because he was a black dude. It was on the wake of the great financial crisis. And it's like he came in on hope. That was the big slogan. And that was
the poster.
Hope and change. And he did fuck all. And we got like supreme wokeness. And then it's like, well, you had like your solution on the left with Bernie, and then you had your solution on the right with Trump. Like, don't put up Hillary, because like people are fucking pissed. They're more and more pissed. So I think it all started right around 99. And like, not to get too political, but I think like the country like went way the fuck downhill after the election of 2000. It was like when the Supreme Court decides an election instead of like the fucking people, you lose hope. And then 9/11 happens. 9/11 happened a week and a half into my freshman year in college.
Wow.
So, like, that's what was going on at the time. It was a complete fucking loss of hope.
Man, yeah, that's a weird timeline for this to come out. Huh.
Yeah.
Well, it's weird, there isn't any we're not getting any stories about, men and their mindset anymore in response to recent years, unfortunately, as great as that would be. That would be nice. But
again, it's like they push women up by dragging men down.
Yeah.
Instead of like a rising tide lifts all ships, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, since we're talking about the ladies, there is a strange romantic angle in this movie. It's kind of small, and to me, it doesn't really work. The movie tries to build a little something between Neo and Trinity. Was that convincing to you guys? Did you think it should just be left out altogether?
I don't feel like it was necessary, given the circumstances.
I think like they kind of rushed into it at the very end there. It's like it just came out of nowhere.
Well, it's part of the prophecy. Like the Oracle says, she tells Trinity like before the movie that she'd fall in love with the one, and Neo's completely clueless that Trinity likes him, and then there's the scene in the kitchen where she's like, "Not too bright though." It's like, oh, no wonder she likes you.
I mean, it's like the way how they write it in, where she just tells him that the Oracle told me that that when I meet the one, it would be someone I fell in love with. It just the way how that scene plays out, it feels like they kind of added it in there and at sort of at the last minute or something.
I think they were playing off of another movie from 1997, The Fifth Element. Spoiler alert: The Fifth Element's love.
What? Oh, good point. Because up until that scene where she confessed her love for him, like we hadn't really seen any other side to her, right? She was all purpose and fight and seriousness, and so for her to break like that in the end it is a little bit.
There were like nuances, like when he's like, oh, we have to go into the inn and rescue Morpheus, and she kind of gives him a little look in those scenes. Like a lot of it is unspoken.
Yeah, it doesn't really seem like he's into her.
I mean, I would be into Carrie-Anne Moss.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, he's really a little distracted. I mean, there's a lot going on for Neo. Yeah, he has time to think about the girls.
I mean,
she said she loves him. She doesn't even know him. She doesn't know him at all.
I mean, look, he's a good-looking guy on a ship full of mid guys. I mean, give her a break.
Does she have? Well, yeah, she does have the port in the back of her head. She does. Yeah, never mind. So she was like, okay. I was just wondering if she was like born from Zion or not, but no.
No, we don't see her port, but it's back there.
In the sequel, we see it.
Oh, do we? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. How does that happen? Does she like shave her head or something?
Oh, I'm talking about like they were banging in the second one.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
He's like,
I thought you were talking about like the port,
No.
You're irritating my gosh.
Nice. That's great. Thanks. All right. Well, let's move on to the final chapter, boys. Here we are. It's about to get crazy in here. Get ready. Let me pull up another good picture here. Well, I guess you know what? We'll just stick with this one for now. Or no, we'll go with this one. So yeah, it's a pretty interesting conclusion of the story here. Narrowly, Trinity, Morpheus, and Neo, they narrowly escape the agents as they flee away to rescue Morpheus. I was surprised. I did not think Morpheus was going to survive this. I thought he died. I'm glad he didn't, because I want to see more of him in the next few movies. But as they're escaping, you have Morpheus. He escapes first. he exits, and then Trinity goes next, and she answers the phone, and she vanishes. And before she vanishes, she reveals that there's something she needs to tell him, but it's like, come on, stop! Like the phone keeps ringing. Just please go. Just go now. But she took her sweet time, and she didn't even say what it was. So it was like, why were you even lingering there? But she vanishes, and then Neo, he's left, and he's about to answer the phone, and all of a sudden, Agent Smith is there, and he took over this homeless dude's body. Yeah. And this is when we get a great sequence between the two. They start brawling it out. And Neo takes a serious beating here, but he kind of puts up a good fight at first, and they both fall into the subway, like the railroad tracks, and Agent Smith thankfully gets hit, but that doesn't do it, of course. And Neo, he just barely escapes that, and he's trying to find the next phone, and during his while he's wandering around, he hears the ring. Oh, very optimistic, right? Great. And he's walking through this, I think like an apartment complex or something. And he opens the door, and Agent Smith is there. And he's got his Desert Eagle pointed right at his chest. And he fires several rounds into him, killing him. That's it. He's dead. He falls flat dead on the ground there. And Trinity, of course, in the real world, he's also dead. So on the Nebuchadnezzar, he's dead. And Trinity is really upset about it. And while all of this is happening, the Sentinels are starting to dig into the ship, and it's a really dire situation. They can't do their electric charge because I guess it would mess up Neo's Matrix incursion. So it's a very, very terrible situation that they're in there, and he's dead. Neo is literally dead. He's dead in the real world, and he's dead in the Matrix. And gosh, you have Trinity, and she gives him, the true love's kiss. The true love's kiss. She kisses him, and that brings him back. And it's not only it resurrects him in the real world and in the Matrix. And when he's resurrected in the Matrix, he now has his full capabilities, and he's able to do all sorts of things. He stops bullets midair. He now sees the Matrix's green code, and he destroys Agent Smith from within. Pretty cool situation here. He's totally and fully awakened as the one that everybody has been coining him to be. And he defeats the remaining agents. And towards the end of the movie, he is now in a much better place. Thankfully, the ship, everybody's okay. Morpheus is fine. The people on the ship are still fine. The Sentinels, they did not destroy the ship. And we see our friend Neo flying through the air, through the Matrix simulated sky, and there's a voiceover message to the machines that he is declaring that he is going to show the people a world without you, where anything is possible, which signals the start of the human revolution. So definitely a pretty interesting conclusion here. Before we get to the elephant in the room, which I'm very excited to hear what people have to say, we won't talk much longer. So just if you guys don't mind just sticking around a little bit longer, I want to start with Neo's final brawl with Agent Smith. What did you guys like, and what did you think was special about that action sequence?
I like to see all of the kung fu that he learned and finally use it against the enemy. Yeah. That was really cool. Yeah.
Also, because you got to remember, one of the biggest directors of the 90s was John Woo. So his slow motion in martial arts films clearly had a huge influence on this, but they obviously took it to a whole nother level with the moments like when they're flying towards each other, shooting the guns, and then they're caught and catch each other and twirl around in a twister-like motion. It's ridiculousness, but it's cool ridiculousness. That's how much fun it is. It's the only limits are your imagination. And then of course when you see him doing that whole thing where he's just blocking his punches, but he's not even looking, he's just it's this is every martial arts movie geek's dream right here, taken to 11. And it's just that it's not in the same tier as something like Bruce Lee or Chuck Norris or Jet Li or Van Damme kind of film, because those guys are real martial artists. They train all the time. Chuck Norris was an actual champion, a karate champion. So that when you're watching them fight in a film, it feels more impactful, but this is more like a superhero version of that. Yeah, Keanu Reeves is obviously trained and put in the work and everything like that, but it's still it's very different. They obviously are like, well, when kids like what they see in a Bruce Lee film, in a Chuck Norris film, but in their minds, it goes crazier. It's like if you got Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris fighting, they're going to be like, it's going to look like something out of Dragon Ball Z. So let's give them something like that in this. And they obviously had a lot of fun with that, and it set a new standard for action films.
Yeah, it did. I mean, that's how you got oh god, what the hell was that video game? I'll look it up for a second.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
You got like Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter. It took those, what you saw in those games, and made it
Max Payne. That's what I was thinking.
Oh, okay.
The what?
Max Payne.
I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah,
well, I know what it is. I've never played it.
It's really great.
I didn't know there was like a weird association with this, or like the style.
Yeah, no, it copied off of The Matrix.
Huh. Wow. Cool.
Bullet time. They call it the bullet time. Earlier, before I came, I saw you guys were talking about the video game. It's called The Path of Neo.
Okay. Oh, okay. That sounds cool.
Yeah.
No, I haven't heard of that one.
It's very good.
Something I like about this, before we move on to just a few more questions. Neo, I think they level him up really well, right? And there's been so many doubts about his capabilities. There's been like highs and lows, right? Just like anybody in there. Their quest to become good at some talent, right? You have your highs, your lows. You have good products, you have bad products you make, just like anything, right? And, at the very end, his talent is finally realized and he's kind of hit that peak. And you finally get to see that. And that's pretty cool. It was earned seeing him level up to this challenge. And, with the challenge, it helped him grow, dealing with the most powerful threat that is part of the equation here. And, because he had the experience dealing with him several times over, that he's grown because of it. So that I thought that was interesting. I like that we got to see that fully realized here. But
Neo is definitely not a Gary Stu.
No. Yeah, he had some rough tumbles leading up to this. Real quick, I see Kyle said something here. What did he say? He says, The Matrix was endlessly parodied. It's still referenced in pop culture and has been re-released into theaters decades after initial release. Yeah, that's criteria to be labeled a classic. Oh, there we go.
Absolutely agree.
Okay, good. So it is a classic. There you go, Kyle.
I actually saw it re-released. I guess it was the 25th anniversary. Although the fucking AMC in Times Square, the sound fucked up and it was like way too low.
Oh, that's lame.
So
that's the worst. I can't stand it when the volume's super low like that.
Yeah, and it was like a crappy screen. It was like one of these like very narrow theaters with like the screen very like far in front of you. It was terrible. Like screw Times Square AMC.
Come on, Times Square should be way better at that. Like, come on, level up.
Times Square sucks.
Oh yeah, thank you, Mom.
Get the F away. No, it's dude. Times Square has sucked for a long time. A long time. Nobody goes. Anyway.
Yeah. Real quick, I'm wondering what you guys think. So obviously, the more annoying points of this whole film for me was the true love's kiss. Like, is there more to that? Like, I know she heard something from the Oracle that suggested that she was going to love the person who was the one, but I didn't get a feeling that the Oracle said that she would be the one that saves him, because she kisses, like, he's dead in the ground, really, and then she kisses him, and then he's back alive.
That's definitely
that's
definitely a form of Deus Ex Machina in the writing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
It's like just something convenient to help save the character that just comes out of nowhere. It's like, oh, let's do True Love's Kiss. That's classic. You know, you got Snow White, you got Sleeping Beauty. So Neo's the Sleeping Beauty in this. So now the roles are reversed. But it's like, yeah, it just comes out of nowhere.
What I never liked, even back then and even now, I think the way Neo kills Agent Smith by like going in his body looks kind of fucking dumb.
Yeah.
I never liked that one, that part.
I get a little bit. I don't know. I thought it was all right. I thought it was cool. Yeah. Well, that's okay. That's your opinion. You can have your opinion, right?
Controversial ones.
Hey,
yeah, that was not too bad.
You know, to reference another Will Smith movie. I mean, he went into the cockroach and Men in Black and blew him up from the inside.
Oh, yeah.
And that was Tommy Lee Jones. That was Tommy Lee Jones who did that. Not Will Smith.
Yeah.
Oh man. Classic. If you guys could change, just on a final note, if you guys could change anything about this movie, what would you change?
I'd have to give it another watch.
probably hold off on the love story.
Oh yeah, that's good.
You know, until the second film at least. You know,
I think the love story kind of solidified the happy ending.
Yeah,
like the ending was a little multi-layered. Like Neo got the girl, he saves Zion, and then he's going to free humanity. So in regards in those 3 points, I guess the Trinity, the Trinity solution. But yeah, I think this is one of those movies where it's like the perfect movie. There's very few of those, but this one's one of them.
Yeah, I'd love to see this done in IMAX. Wouldn't that be awesome?
Oh,
that's a good theatrical release. This in IMAX, not little crappy standard definition.
Yeah.
There was one scene that there's nothing wrong with it. It's a good scene where Neo rescues Trinity. She's in that helicopter and she grabs that whatever that is, that rope or something, and he saves her. And they make a deal out of it that because he saved her under those circumstances, now suddenly it's obvious he's the one. And I never really understood, well, what was special about what he did there? I mean,
because that's when he stepped
Morpheus
in.
Have done the same thing?
Yeah.
I mean, that's when he started. Morpheus realized he was starting to step into the shoes of the one. Mm-hmm. Then, it became obvious for everyone except Morpheus, who already knew, when Neo turns around to fight Agent Smith in the subway.
The other thing, when I saw that scene, they're on the helicopter, and then Neo turns the minigun on that whole floor and just lets loose.
Yeah, and Morpheus is totally cool. He doesn't get shot. He's blemish free.
Oops.
Dude, Morpheus is right in there. You're gonna kill him.
He's shooting around him. He
was perfect eye level. I mean, he's lasering.
There's like a whole mist of glass that he's just shredding through. I'm like, how can you see anything? I mean, dude, that's a good
point. That was a bad one. I would definitely get rid of the True Love's Kiss at the end. I would get rid of that. Give me another reason why he comes back. Come on, this movie is.
You don't believe in love?
Oh, I believe in love, Paul. I love you, Paul. But that's where love stems in my heart. It's for you, Paul.
I guess they just didn't have any
Thursdays.
I guess they just didn't have any defibrillators on that submarine.
No, that's right. Well, yeah, I think it's definitely solid though. It's such a genius. It is a genius movie. I think it has.
Yeah, it is.
There's so much thought that went into this, and it's an enticing world, right? It's very interesting world situation. The Matrix is really vast, and there's so much to understand and explore with that. And then you have the real side of things, the reality, which is also insane and interesting and captivating and so large and massive. I think it's best of both worlds, and I am curious to watch more of these movies. I definitely recommend. I think a lot of us, do we all recommend the original Matrix?
Heck yeah.
1999.
Thumbs up. It's impossible.
The panel, okay, the panel recommends it, and that's our message to you, everybody. Watch the original Matrix. I also saw real quick our friend LJ Films and Gaming. What's up, LJ? Thanks for joining us. Sorry, you're catching us at the very end. I also gifted 5 memberships. Let's see who got them. I'm trying to do those more. Let's see. Eldon Shakun, S'more, Francis Hates, Henning Berg, and SCDB615. You are now members. So enjoy my physical media collection reviews. If you want to watch them, let me know what you think. I'd appreciate it. They're a lot of fun to do. I got to make a new one here soon. But thank you all for watching. As always, we appreciate you guys. Next week, next Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time, we are watching the original Back to the Future, the very first one. Yeah, I know it's going to be pretty exciting. So we're gonna be.
You've never seen that movie?
No, I've seen it.
I have not.
See, Luke. Sometimes the first time reaction part of the equation is Luke, so that's part of him.
Yeah, I'm bad.
But no, it's fine.
You gotta tell us, man, if the song sequences make you just get up and start dancing while you're watching it.
I want to see Luke is gonna get up and dance. He's gonna like it so much. But yeah, we're talking about that. We're talking about that next week, everybody. Please join us live. It'd be great to have you here. It is up in the chat. We appreciate you guys always for watching. It's a lot of fun talking with you guys in the chat. Please be sure to check out everybody in the panel today. It was great having everybody on. Our friend Ian Morrison, movie nutcase, always good. Off the cover with his debut, Paul. I join his channel about every month, and we have a good time. So stay tuned, sub to him. He's got all kinds of interesting content. And World War Joe, another friend of us, and Gen X-Man, who doesn't have a channel, but he's here. He's here to support, and he's here to lend a hand in his perspective. So it's a lot of fun. I appreciate all you guys. And if you guys liked what we had to say, please give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to Box Office Brawler. Subscribe to all these guys here. We greatly appreciate it. And we'll see you guys next week. Give him the Duke. Give him the dog. Peace.
What kind of person are you? Are you the kind that sees signs?